finally made it. It's time to pick your study abroad program and location. If you're anything like me, this is something that you've been looking forward to for years and the thing that you've been most excited for in your college career. The opportunity to get a change of scenery, be surrounded by a new culture, and possibly get immersed in a new language are all things that study abroad offers. While the process is exciting, it's incredibly overwhelming. Even at my tiny liberal arts school, I had 100+ options and it was so hard to narrow down. So I want to give you some things to look out for when you're choosing your program, especially if you're super indecisive. This will really help to narrow down your list and finally come up with that one place that you're going to apply to and eventually spend your semester. Before we even get to choosing a study abroad program, I always want to point out that picking a university that values international education and learning is a huge help. At my school, we had a large community of international students, and there was a big emphasis on intercultural learning as well. If there was someone who thought that they wouldn't be able to make the leap to study abroad due to academic or athletic concerns, our faculty and administration really worked with them to help them figure out a way to go abroad because they understood the value of learning an environment that wasn't just contained to our campus. So now that I've gotten that prerequisite out of the way, here are 7 key things I want to highlight for you to narrow your decision of where to study abroad. Number 1, how long do you want to study abroad? Sure, we usually have an image of a semester in our mind, spring or fall semester, but sometimes people don't have the flexibility to do that. A lot of schools offer short-term study abroad programs that take place for a couple weeks in the summer, a couple weeks in the winter. So maybe someone that was on a really tight track to finish certain courses, or they had athletic commitments, they were able to study abroad even if it wasn't a traditional way of doing it. There are also options to study abroad for a year if you don't think 4 or 5 months is going to be enough. So just explore all of the time options that are available to you and that fit your goals the best. Okay, number 2, and this one was a big deal for me personally, but you need to see if the program that you're looking into has the right courses that contribute towards your major and will allow you to graduate on time. Even though study abroad is so much fun, you also want to make sure that your time there is productive and that it's not for naught. If you pick the right program, you'll be able to knock out a few credits so that while you're abroad and having the time of your life, you're also staying on track with your program. It would be a horrible, horrible thing if you thought you were making all this progress, taking classes, doing finals, all the normal school stuff abroad, and you get back to school and you see that none of it counted towards anything. So just be very sure that any classes that you're looking to take abroad will also be contributed to what you need to be contributed to at your college so you can stay on track with your plan to graduate in whatever time frame you have set for yourself. Next, let's see if your program has a Gpa requirement. You may have a dream program. Maybe it's London and you want to go to the London School of Economics, for example, and you're imagining yourself walking past Big Ben and in these studious classes, and then you see that the Gpa requirement is a 3.8 and you maybe have a 3.75. This is something that you'd want to figure out before you start getting your hopes up. Make sure you're having open communication with your advisors and that you're looking at what the school requires to get you there so that you're not planning this whole semester just to be met with the hard truth that you might not be accepted into the program due to a specific academic requirement. Next, where do I want to be location-wise? This is a big one, right? Some people love the efficiency of the Japanese and the Germans. Some other people like the more laid-back nature of the Moroccans or the Greeks. What fits your personality? Let's think about climate. This can be your chance to chase the sun for a year or live in the winter wonderland that you've always dreamed of, but just keep in mind some of the quirks of the places that you're visiting. I personally love warm weather, so I don't think it's really a surprise that I spent 2 semesters in the south of Europe. I basically got to skip winter completely, and that really made me happy. It's a small thing, but it's the thing that's important to me, and if that's important to you, you should keep that in mind as well. Number 5, do you want to learn a language, and does your program have a language requirement? Some programs have full courses in English and you don't even have to worry about a language, but others have programs in the university that the students in that country are going to. For example, in the program that I went to in Spain, they had courses at the Study Abroad Center that were taught in English and in Spanish, and then courses that you could take at the university fully in Spanish with other Spanish students. No one was gonna adjust anything for you. I personally took partial classes in English and partial classes at Spanish at the Study Abroad Center. Because of my level of Spanish at that time, there was no way I was going to get really far in a course of 100 other students where the professor wasn't going to slow down or take time to explain things to me in a little bit simpler terms in Spanish. So I was really glad that I had that option, and I still greatly improved my Spanish in that time. Taking university courses in the native language of the place that you're going is not for the faint of heart, and it will likely require you to take a few years of that language at the college level and understanding it on a more practical basis as well. And if you don't have that, fear not. There's always programs that have full English speaking programs where you can still enjoy the life of a study abroad student and not have to pick up another language. And even if you are taking all courses in English, you can still choose to immerse yourself in the language. You can do this by getting a host family, joining a local sports league, or even having a language exchange. But that's something we can talk about in a later video if you're interested. Okay, so we're down to the last two. Number 6, what courses are offered? So you'll be spending your days exploring and soaking up your new life in this country, but you're still a student, and a major amount of your time while you're abroad will be spent in the classroom. So when you're opening the booklet and you're seeing what courses are offered, ask yourself, do they look interesting to you? Maybe this can even be a chance for you to explore a major that's not offered at your school. Since I mentioned before that I went to a small liberal arts university, there were not really any communications classes at my particular college. And when I went to Greece, I saw that they had a whole program dedicated to that. So I really took that opportunity to dig into communications and take some courses that I knew I wouldn't be able to take abroad, but again, that would still count towards my major back home. Okay, and last but not least, and this is a big one, is there financial aid and scholarships offered? There are so many types of programs and universities that offer financial assistance, and I was very lucky to be able to get some financial help from both of the programs that I went abroad with. This can help to cover your everyday expenses and maybe even make your semester or year abroad cheaper than if you were to stay home. I was able to actually get work study in Greece that I wasn't able to get back at my home university. So this was a big relief to me and my family, and I would encourage you to seek out any options that you can to see if you can just get even $1,000 or $2,000 put towards your time abroad. Okay, so there you have it. 7 questions I think that are so important to ask when you're choosing a study abroad program. I hope that these questions spark some excitement and ideas for you as you plan to study abroad. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of deliberating, pros and cons lists, spreadsheets, hours in the study abroad office that it took me to finally come to my decision. But I thought so deeply about this, and I'm so happy with the choices I ended up making. If you think that I missed anything, please drop it in the comments below. And just remember that ultimately, you make the most of whatever decision you choose. You can deliberate till the cows come home, but eventually it's going to be time to get there and just live the life that you want to live. So don't agonize too much over it, because the fact is, whatever you choose, you're going to be on a new awesome adventure, and you're going to meet new friends. You're going to pick up so many skills that you would never pick up at home, and you're going to have the time of your life. So be thorough, but don't stress too much, because I know that you'll have an amazing time.